Good morning, Sun City residents. This is Rusty Bradshaw, and I'm here to give you some highlights from last night's Recreation Centers of Sun City special session board meeting, in which the proposed bylaws went through their first reading. And I can tell you right off the bat that each of the articles, each of the 13 articles and the definitions, all were approved unanimously by the board in the first reading. There were a few members who attended, probably around 20, which the attendance was a little disappointing. I would have thought more people would have been interested in seeing the process and maybe having some concerns expressed, but there were a few who expressed their concerns. One member said the board should table approving these bylaws until the March annual meeting. He believed that would make the process more transparent. And he also said that he was troubled with the constant tinkering of the bylaws. Preston Keiss, who is chairman of the bylaws working group, said there is a risk involved in pushing back the approval to the March meeting because of the trend of not getting enough people to have a quorum for a meeting, so that meant that no business could be done. And he also said that members have had plenty of opportunities to give their input on these proposed bylaws. Two residents spoke again about providing a guest pass for single deed owners. That's one person in a household through a death of a spouse or whatever. And one member suggested a member plus card with the stipulation that the member must be with the guest at all times when the card is used. Tom Foster, the president of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Board of Directors, said the concern about giving guest passes to single deed owners is that there has been abuse of the guest pass and punch cards in the past, and that makes it difficult to consider a full guest pass for a single deed owner. Until they have a policy put together to deal with that, he believes they shouldn't do it. A part of the bylaws revised the duties of committees, and basically the only revision in that was for the Long Range Planning Committee, in that they would focus on projects 5 years and beyond. And some people at the town halls felt they should be able to have some input on projects that had been approved in the previous 4 years. One resident who is a member of the Long Range Planning Committee said she was happy with the revision that was made to the revised bylaws, which allowed the LRP to have some input if adjustments were needed to PIF projects that were approved in years 1 through 4. However, she didn't see that there is a group that oversaw the projects in years 1 through 4. And she believes they should start a new standing committee for that. And Foster said, stand by, because they are working on revising Board Policy 16, which should take care of that. Another member had a number of questions about the bylaws. In the discipline section of the bylaws, there was talk of incident reports being for more behavioral type things, and a phrase used was jeopardize the rights and privileges of another member. This member who spoke wanted to know what the definition of jeopardize the rights and privileges would be, because it seemed a little vague to her, and she believes there needs to be more clarity. She also asked what criteria would be used to determine whether an incident report had merit or not. She said there was also nothing in the bylaws about frivolous incident reports and hearings for very minor or silly accusations. The revised bylaws also propose that incident reports with personal information redacted of the filer be given to the accused so that they can better prepare their defense and see exactly what they're being accused of. This member who spoke with these questions said that if you take out the person's name on the report, if you redact the person's name, then the accused person won't know what they're being accused of. But just my own thought here, that isn't really the case, because there would be a description of the incident in question, and if this accused person were involved, that would satisfy that. And those are the highlights from the board meeting last night to consider the revised bylaws. They went article by article instead of doing the whole thing at once. And again, the definitions in all 13 articles were passed unanimously on the first reading. The second reading will come in another special session of the board in November. And check with the RCSC website for the meeting listings, and you'll find out when and where that is. And again, thank you for watching.